Hello ladies and gentlemen, once again this is Jeremy Smith, Photog J the Great. Last time we were right in the middle of shooting and I had lots and lots of flashes set up and we were working on getting some good shots. Today I decided to go ahead and continue that, and we're going to go ahead and finish up part 2. I'm going to actually show you what I was able to capture. I think the last time I left off we were looking at this part right here. Okay, let's see here. Quick test shot first. Okay, so basically what we've done is we've added some CTO gels to the Group A flashes, which are the two that are on her, and well, you'll see in a moment. Okay, here we go. Okay, 3, 2, 1. So as you can see in that part, you can see I actually did one other setup with the flashes, and I caught a nice mid-air shot. I actually decided to do that with the D600 because I didn't need a very fast burst rate. So anyways, it worked out very well. We are of course going to do the full D600 review very soon, probably within the next week or so. But I wanted to get this part out of the way first. I have something else to show you. This is actually the final sequence of images that we captured from part 1 of our flash madness. So anyways, of course I'm going to have this on screen for you, and of course also have the link provided to it. So all in all, it went very well. I was able to get these shots mostly just because of the sheer amount of flashes. A lot of people were asking me settings wise and things like that. To be honest with you, as you're about to see, it wasn't anything just terribly advanced, honestly. Once I had all the flashes set up, I was able to dial everything in. I used Nikon's creative lighting system, and I used the SU800, and then later on, after the battery died, I used a SB900 flash as the commander. And then I just dialed everything in that way. Basically I had 3 different groups. The lights that were in the foreground were on Group A, the ones kind of in the midground of the image were on Group B, and then the ones in the background behind the subject were on Group C. And basically I was able to adjust the power of those 3 groups independently. On the lowest power I was at around 1/16 on manual mode. And I think, well actually sorry, that'd be the highest power. I was on 1/16, and the lowest I was on like 1/64, and so I was able to keep that flash power way down. If I could have done this any way in the world, I would have used pocket wizards to trigger the flashes instead of the Nikon creative lighting system. Even though we were shooting in manual mode and not TTL, I did notice a significant lag time in how long it took to kind of fire the flashes. And I know the pocket wizards are, especially the newer +3s, are very fast in terms of relaying a burst from a camera, to a flash. So if you're shooting at a very fast burst rate, the lag time is like practically nil. So yeah, if I could do it again, well, if I could have rounded up enough pocket wizards, I would have done it that way instead, but unfortunately I couldn't come up with that many pocket wizards, so I had no choice but use Nikon CLS. I guess now we're going to go ahead and just take a look at all the images on screen, and of course, as you'd imagine, there was a little bit of Photoshop magic to make some of it happen, and I'm going to go into that into detail, and we'll take a look at all the settings also. Okay, so this is the image that I actually got at the during the second half of the shoot. This isn't the the flip sequence. This is where I was using the CTO gels. Basically, what's going on here is I set the flash camera, or the flash or the camera white balance to incandescent, and the flash right here in the background has a CTO gel on it. I kind of just played around with it a little bit. Basically, well, sorry, actually this one has a CTO on it, and this one does not. Basically, since your flash is balanced to daylight, if you have your camera set to incandescent white balance, anything that's daylight colored is going to have a bluish cast to it. This flash over here has the CTO on it, so it's a much warmer temperature, and of course the flash that's hitting her directly also has a CTO on it, so that way it's also going to show her at the right white balance, whereas the flashes that don't have the CTO, such as the one directly behind her head, basically is going to take on that blue cast. So anyways, I was just basically playing around. As I told you guys earlier, this shoot was really just about playing around. That's something that we all need to do as photographers from time to time, is just kind of get out of the normal routine, and definitely don't be afraid to experiment. To be honest with you, this shot right here I didn't really quite get the look I was going for. But hey, you know, I did what I do most times, and the sequence of images for showing the progression of her back handspring was what I was mainly going to get that day, and that came out the way I wanted it to. Actually, probably a little bit better. So after I knew that I had that shot, I started playing around and experimenting, and this was the experiment, and it didn't quite turn out exactly the way I wanted it to. But guess what? In the future, I'll do it again, I'm sure, for something, and I'll say, oh yeah, last time I did it that way, and I know that that didn't work, and I'll tweak it, and I'll end up with something better. So let me show you Let me show you guys the one that did work, and that is this one. Of course, our sequence here. And let's see. Let me get rid of some of these guidelines here. Those are kind of in the way. So this is what the final image looks like. There's actually still going to be a little bit of Photoshop going on here and there to remove some of the flare and whatnot up here. But anyways, in this image, the entire floor has been replaced, and a good friend of mine actually is much better at what I like to call special effects Photoshop. And anyways, he's got to show me how to do these reflections better, but he did that for me. I'm really good at like smoothing model scan and liquefying and all that, but when it comes to adding an effect, that's really not my forte in Photoshop. But anyways, let's see. Let's turn off some of these layers, and I'll kind of show you what I started with here. Okay, so there you go. This is what it all looked like before any Photoshop stuff was done to it. Basically, I just took all the images in Lightroom, and I adjusted the exposure, and I adjusted the crop to where it would be very similar in all of the images, and got that all adjusted. And then I basically just created a canvas and popped all the images in there, and put them on the little blue background there, so you can see the progression. And then after a few stages of Photoshop, so we've got a few layers here. One layer here completely darkens out the curtains that were behind her there, as you can see. The next layer takes care of the floor, and the last layer is that reflection there. So anyways, that's basically all that happened there. And I'm going to go in here and do a little bit more touch up as far as getting rid of some of this other flare that wasn't quite gone. You can see what that looked like before, getting a little bit of flare off that area from the flashes coming from that direction. And of course, multiple shadows, as you would expect. So anyways, all that's been gone, or been removed, I should say. I think all of these were shot at about the same exposure and whatnot. Well, let's see here. Here we go. Well, the EXIF data is going there. I'll post a link to the final image here, and on Flickr as I always do, and I will show you guys. Well, I'll just probably type the settings used in the bottom there. As I said earlier, the lowest flash power was like 1/32 in manual, and some of the flashes that were hitting her directly from the front, I believe those were all the way at 1/16, but still relatively low power all the way across. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be taking a little break for a while, guys. I've got to get caught up on some other work, but I will be back soon, and I haven't forgotten about finishing up the D600 review. A lot of people, I feel like a lot of people got their questions answered in the introductory video, but I plan to go into a lot more detail. I took it to a wedding with me last weekend, and I was very, very happy with the camera. But I'm going to give you my thoughts on that whenever I return. Until then, this is Jeremy Smith, signing off.